Top 10 countries best at controlling the COVID-19. With the rise of the deadly pandemic of COVID-19, countries around the world took different approaches to keep the virus at bay. While there were some countries who have struggled in flattening the curve, there were others that thanks to strict measures were able to flatten the curve and have a low fatality rate. Today, we've rounded up a list of 10 countries that had the best response at controlling the pandemic. Number 10. Senegal. Kicking off our list of the top 10 countries best at controlling COVID-19, we have Senegal at number 10. With 7 doctors for every 100,000 people, Senegal has a fragile healthcare system, and that's why it came as a shock to everyone when it was announced that the country set the standards of how to handle a pandemic. The first confirmed case was on March 2nd, and the response was almost immediate after that. They postponed the Basketball Africa League, banned cruise ships, and shut down schools, banned public gatherings for both Muslim and Christian pilgrimages. By the end of the month, the country declared a state of emergency. As a result of their restriction, Senegal has 12,800 confirmed cases with 266 deaths. Number 9. Greece. Despite having a fragile healthcare infrastructure system that would have collapsed if things took turn for the worse, Greece's response to the pandemic was as strict as possible. They closed schools and suspended the operation of education institutions everywhere in the country. Additionally, they closed cafes, restaurants, shopping malls, sports facilities, museums, as well as all places of worship. Number 8. United Arab Emirates. Moving on to number 8, we have UAE. With 123,700 cases and 475 deaths, UAE is another country that handled the pandemic very well. Although the first confirmed case was in early January, the United Arab Emirates jumped into action to keep the coronavirus at bay. They started an 11-day sterilization campaign with night curfews to disinfect public places at night. Initially, schools closed for a period of 4 weeks, but after 3 weeks, it was announced that they would be closed until the end of the academic year. Number 7. Denmark. With a population of 5.8 million people, Denmark was the first country in Europe to place lockdown measures and shut down. All events that would result in more than 100 people gathering were either cancelled or postponed. And, in mid-March, all non-essential workers were told to stay at home, with some facilities such as gyms, cultural institutions, libraries, and universities all closing down. As of October 2020, there have been 40,000 confirmed cases with 702 deaths. Number 6. Iceland. At number 6, we have the Nordic island country of Iceland. With only 4,950 confirmed cases and 17 deaths, Iceland has a fatality rate of 0.42%. Iceland was one of the few countries that tested its citizens thoroughly for COVID-19, and that's why the infection rate was the highest in March and April. In early April, it was announced that the country had reached its peak of the outbreak. Their ability to control the pandemic was thanks to a team of contact tracers and screenings run by a biotech company that determined where the spread in the community was. Number 5. South Korea. With 26,900 confirmed cases and 474 deaths, South Korea's response was one of the best in the world. The first case confirmed in Korea occurred as early as January. By February 4th, South Korea banned travelers from Hubei province in China to enter the country. They took measures that range from mass testing, isolation and quarantining of infected people, and tracing those who were in contact with the infected people. They were producing thousands of tests per day and had enough medical supplies to export to other countries that were in critical condition. Number 4. Taiwan. The Asian country of Taiwan is at number 4 on the list. The first confirmed case in Taiwan was a 50-year-old woman who was a teacher in Wuhan. However, the country had taken preventative measures before the first case was reported, including inspection for flights coming from Wuhan. Although the country didn't implement lockdown and social distancing rules, they took precautionary measures such as providing hand sanitizers and taking temperatures. In addition, they used mobile SIM tracking to make sure that those who were placed in quarantine were following the rules and not breaking them. Number 3. New Zealand. At number 3, we have New Zealand. New Zealand was one of the first countries that took strict and aggressive measures to tackle the virus. The first COVID-19 case was reported in late February, and by March, all borders and entry ports to the country were closed and everyone who had recently returned to New Zealand had to go into a 2-week managed isolation. The country went into a nationwide lockdown. With 1,600 confirmed cases and 25 deaths, it's safe to say that New Zealand didn't just flatten the curve, it crushed it. Number 2. Vietnam. At number 2, we have Vietnam. When the first confirmed case was reported in late January, the country's emergency plan was immediately enforced. They banned entry to foreigners and travelers with a few exceptions, and closed the borders they had with China while increasing testing at other borders. Schools and educational facilities were closed from late January to May and began intensive contact tracing operations. Number 1. Singapore. Another country that took an aggressive approach to the pandemic, we have Singapore at number 1. With 58,000 cases, the country currently has 64 active cases and a shocking fatality rate of 0%. They built temporary bed spaces for potential COVID-19 patients and performed mass testing to ensure that any confirmed case would be isolated. In addition, they scanned people's IDs at public locations for contact tracing. Singapore has set an example for the world for having the best organized epidemic control program. And that's a wrap for today's video. Before you leave, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe to our channel, and click on the notification bell below to be notified whenever we upload new videos. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.